This is an Envoice Media podcast.
What can you do in that time that you're there to improve yourself?
Like, ooh.
No.
Oh, look at that 10-pack you got going on over there.
I always remember him in my mind saying, get that money. And you see everyone and they're trying to get six-packs. Well, they would use the iron to make grilled cheese.
Yeah, we would get in trouble.
They had a way to boil oil. And it's super dangerous.
Churros? Oh, I love me churros. I want some churros right now, man.
You're listening to Criminal Code, our story behind bars.
Welcome to the Criminal Code, where we talk all things prison. I'm Tony, your host. My co-host over here,
Sonny.
Sonny. Today, we actually have a real good episode. We're going to talk about health and losing weight and what causes all of, I guess, the weight problems or the health problems before you go in, and you know what you can do about it when you're finally in on the inside. I know myself normally before I entered prison, I always hovered around the 175, 178, pounds. During my time going before I self-surrendered, it was about 7-8 months. I actually, by the time I entered prison, I was 222.
Healthy.
Yeah, Hamburger Healthy. You know what I mean?
Hamburger Healthy.
Yeah, needless to say, I was...
How tall are you?
Yeah, on a good day.
How tall are you?
During that time at 222, I was probably 5'6" because of gravity. No, normally on a good day. Normally I'm about 5'8.5", 5'9", if I decide to stand straight. But and then make a long story short, by the time I got out, and we'll say how to get to there. By the time I was a free man, in the sense I wasn't in prison anymore. I was 162, so it was a 60-pound drop.
Okay.
Obviously, since then, right now I'm 188, so I didn't gain half of it back. But at one point in time during the last 6 months, I did. But slowly trying to get back down to my normal weight. But that's why I'm happy that you're here, because you're one of the few I know that has still maintained their Instagram body, as opposed to us normal folk. But what was your average weight? Would you go in at?
So it's interesting. You were mentioning before and after. I feel like there's two paths for a lot of guys. Some guys eat all the way up until they go in, and so they tack on a bunch of pounds. Other people know they're going in, so they start working out beforehand, which was the case for me. And I know some other people I know, like they thought they were going to experience everything inside, so they just started working out like crazy before they went in. Yeah.
I went the sumo route.
Hopefully they'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
So I actually, at my, heaviest, probably like 185.
Oh, okay, yeah.
189. And then I started to slim down before I went in. And it wasn't necessarily related to the case or anything, but that's just where I was in my life. I was in a health phase, a fitness craze. And then, so I dropped from 185 down to about 165 or 170 before I went in. So for me, I kind of had my routine down. I had my different workouts down that I was doing every day before and leading up to going in.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, fit enough or fairly fit going in. But going inside, you learn a lot of different things. And so after being in there, took it to another level.
Now, how long when you first got in? Because, a lot of our viewers, they're not going to know in terms of cars or people you work out with.
Yeah.
Did you start off alone, or did you find a group already, or how did that go?
Trying to think back to the early times. In the very first week, I want to say, you kind of got to feel things out. So you get in there and you're just observing first day or two, even the first couple of weeks, you're in this observation mode, and you're just tracking people, tracking groups, tracking, different races and all this kind of thing to see what the vibe is, how serious or not serious it is. Since I was at a camp, little less stressful, and we had our own unit. Since my camp was about 120 people, it wasn't crazy, but I ran with the Asian car over there, which is the Asian group. Majority made up of Filipinos where I was at Atwater, and a few Chinese. I think there was one other Korean guy, and that was about it. Maybe one Japanese guy.
Did you guys work out together? Or?
Yeah. So initially, when I first got there, they were playing ping pong or table tennis. They were doing some other more fun type sport activities. So I'm kind of like a jack of all trades. I'm not like I'm decent at a lot of those little things like ping pong and even basketball and stuff like that. So I jumped in, pretty quickly to all those activities and just kind of played whenever it was available and those guys were playing. They were kind of played in different racial groups, but there was mixing here and there. And since it was a camp, they were a little more integrated and not necessarily always segregated and separated. So, but after getting settled in and weeks went by and maybe a month or two goes by, then you have your daily routine. And so you could figure out, okay, for me, it was wake up, go to my job at the kitchen. I was washing dishes. I'd wash dishes until around 10, 11, finish my shift. And then basically at 12, I would start my workout. So from 12 to 3 or 4, good 2 to 4 hours every day, you just start doing your workout. So that was on repeat, basically.
By yourself, or did you have do the deck of cards with another person? Or
we had a few guys, and then that would it just change based on who's there or who's not, or who's leaving or who's coming. But we'd have like 2 sometimes by myself. If people couldn't make it, I would just do it by myself. But I learned a lot of workouts from other guys, obviously going in and being there for the first time. So 2 to 5 guys. Or pairs, we'd break up into pairs, and then the main ones, and a ton of variations, but I would do 8 laps around the little dirt track that they had, which in my mind was almost a mile. So I jogged that 8 laps to warm up, and then every other day, first day would be pushing, so it'd be push-ups. And a funny way that they did that was 31 down.
Oh, yeah, no.
So
explain that.
Yeah, you just do push-ups.
That's a killer.
31. You start with 31 push-ups. You do your set of 31, and then you stand up. You take your break. The other partner that you're with does his 31. So he would do his 31, and then when he's done, you do your 30 push-ups. He waits, and then he does his 30 push-ups, and back and forth. So when you get down to it, 31, 30, 29, 28 is
a lot.
486 push-ups.
Yeah, it's a lot of push-ups.
And then you just add 4 more, so it's a 500 push-ups that you're doing. And you're trying to knock that out in, 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Oh, I never could.
So,
in the beginning, finished 20 down. Anything more than that, it hurt.
I found out every place has their variation. Some people would do more than that. Some people would do less. But at least for new guys, you'd work your way up to doing 31 down. So that's one day. The other day,
it's one day.
Every other, you're switching up between those on one day, and then the next day, you're doing pull-ups. So you're doing pulling workouts, So where I was, you couldn't hang from too many places. They didn't have pull-up bars.
What'd you guys have there?
We had basketball rims, but if you had a CO that wasn't very cool or was very strict or whatever. He didn't want you hanging from the basketball rims, but there were these square backboards and you could put your hand on the inside of it. Mm-hmm. And we put a little wooden dowel in there that would make it easier to grip. And we had these platforms you could stand up on to reach it. You didn't have to jump 10 feet to grab it.
Right. That's a workout in and of itself, man.
I wouldn't have been able to do that. But so we'd go up there and then same thing, same concept. I couldn't do very many pull-ups going in. So...
Well, at least you could, man. I couldn't
I struggled,
do one unless there was assisted.
And the only way to get better at it is to try.
Yeah,
so, I forget back then how long it took me, but eventually when all systems were go and I was on this repetitive routine, on the pulling days, I would do sets of 12. So I'd do pull-ups this way, which is a forward grip, sets of 12 times 10, and then sets of 12, I guess you call that chin up and pull up.
Right.
Pull ups and chin ups. So you do sets of 12 that way. So
the chin up's easier, right? I mean, they're both hard for me because I can't do
chin up's
way,
easier.
Okay.
And you can use more of your lats and all of that.
Right.
Pull ups are a little bit harder, and then you're going that way. So you're doing 10 sets of each. I was doing every other, actually. So times 10. I think I was doing 220 pull-ups or 200 and something like that, yeah.
Back hurts just thinking about that right now, man,
And I was doing that, every day, every other day. Pull-ups, push-ups one day, pull-ups the other day.
At the end of the day, that's all you...
Yeah, and adding on the miles. So that was my default, and then, because the only thing you have in there is time. You got time. So after I would finish my push-ups on certain days, I would do bear crawls. They would show me variations on push-ups where you do Spider-Man push-ups or Superman push-ups or there's 20 different types of push-ups you can do.
Now, where you were at, did you guys have your standard or whatever, like a weight room that you guys use, or was it more calisthenics and body weight?
So technically, you weren't allowed to have weights.
Okay.
Where we were, so there was 2 medicine balls. There was maybe...
Is that because you were with another, the
no,
load?
Well...
To not have weights?
We were connected to the maximum, the penitentiary, so...
Hence no weights, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why they wouldn't allow us to have weights, because you could take it inside. But the guys would go to Unicor, and then back behind sheds and stuff, they had weights. They had a bar, they had...
it's hardcore.
Full weights and everything, and it was all just hidden behind these sheds.
Did you get back there too, or no?
No, because I didn't work Unicor. I was in the kitchen, so everything I did was on this side. So every day I'd walk my 8 laps. I'd either do push-ups or pull-ups, and then they did have the standing dip bar, little contraption where you could do dips or leg raises. So we'd do a ton of leg raises, or we'd do, I'd pound out 10 sets of 20 dips, stuff like that. So, it's basically all body weight workout. Very few weights, if anything. I know they also didn't want inmates to practice boxing. I guess that was another thing they didn't want you to do. But
okay.
People would practice boxing with metal weights, I guess. You put them in your hand, you grip it, and you
shadow box?
Punching, shadow box,
That's tiring, man.
So they would do that, and then you'd bury it. You'd bury it in the ground. So
bury what?
The weights. You weren't supposed to have those weights that they were holding.
The camera will find that out, man.
It's so silly, but that's just the way it was. So I remember, I could do a fair amount of push-ups and not too many pull-ups when I started. And then by the end, like I said, we were doing that consistently. And I would say towards the last couple months before I was leaving, my Asian group of friends, our Asian carb, we were doing 1,000 push-up Mondays. So you just do sets of 20 or 25, and we'd pound it out two different teams. I would do a set of 20 or 25, and then the other guy would do a set of 20 or 25. You do that times Sets of 25 times 40 reps.
Yeah.
And you're knocking out 1,000 push-ups.
It's a lot, man.
And I think we timed it at some point, but it's an hour. You can knock it out in an hour, 1,000 push-ups in an hour.
I don't even think that I don't even think I went more than, at my peak, even at below 170, which is super light for me.
Yeah.
I didn't even go over, 500 push-ups or
Yeah,
burpees. Burpees was my main. Burpees was my main, because you can do it. You do everything. It's a full body workout. You can do it pretty much, and you can do it right here.
Burpees a great workout. So that would be push-ups, pull-ups, and then third day would be burpees.
But 1,000.
And then you go back to push-ups, pull-ups. But 1,000 push-up Monday. So there'd be we'd have a room of 10 Asian guys in this little rec room, and we had one treadmill. And you have a row of 5 guys pounding out the 25. They stand up and rest while the other group does the set of 25. And then we rest and vice versa until you get through 40.
Any competitions? What happens to the losers?
No, but you'd always have new guys coming in and they're watching it. So they want to get up to it. So, you'd see them, they're struggling and they're trying to get up these push-ups because, your muscles, they fatigue quick. They're not used to the repetition. And so they don't have the stamina yet. But the new guys would come in, they'd struggle, but they'd still do it. And we'd, encourage them and get them up there. And so it was good.
Now, did you normally work out with others, or did you Did you find it better just doing it on your own?
I want to say it's hard to find because people had different jobs, different schedules. So it's always hard to find people on the same routine that want to do the same workout you do and to the level you want to do it. So it went through seasons, but I would find some guys that liked burpees. So this guy, Big Mike, he was in there for a long time. Big Chinese dude.
Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Oof. He
came in halfway through my time there, tatted all up the back that he got inside. Mike. He was 5'10", maybe 6 foot, probably a healthy 200 where it's all muscle. And
okay.
He was associated with Asian gangs up north in San Jose area. But when you talk to him and you meet him in person, nicest guy you can talk to.
Does it sound like this? Hey man, what's going on? Yep. You know what I mean?
He didn't talk like that, but
okay.
Really good basketball player. But
that's a center in the Asian world, man. What are you talking about?
He would hang with excuse my stereotypes, but he would hang with the African American guys in basketball.
Okay. Just kidding, Big Mike. If you're ever watching this, man, I'm just joking around. You my man. He's
good. He's probably out by now.
Oh, great.
I'll touch.
He's probably on his way here right now. Let me go get Sumo Tony.
I'll touch you on his story later. He got rolled up for trying to bring in. His family tried to bring him shrimp and duck and all this stuff on his birthday for visits. And so
rolled up CO style or freaking
So and then he also had
difference.
A phone or an electronic at that time. Ooh. So there was a story of our guys who went to work and they saw this shrimp and duck on the ground scattered by the trash can because they had to just dump it. And so he got rolled back up to a medium from our camp. But nicest
Same
guy you could ever
too?
meet. Yeah. So, but anyway,
that sucks.
One day I'm in the yard. I'm watching him do burpees. So I would go to the guys who would be the best at whatever situation. So push-ups, I learned all the push-ups from one dude. Pull-ups, I saw them hanging on the thing. I got in trouble one time because the CO, Garcia, this is another story for another time, but the CO that had a hard-on for our camp, he saw me on the basketball rim one time and told me to get down and whatever. And so... but then learned the pull-ups from that. And then I saw Mike doing burpees and he was consistent. He would just do his thing. He would only eat with one other Chinese guy that was in there that his name was Mao. He was this 6'3", really skinny Chinese guy, but he would only speak Chinese. But he knew Mike, probably the same gang, and Mao would make dinner for Big Mike every day. You'd see them sit down together, and he'd always have a meal for Big Mike.
Big Mike must have been the man.
I think he had some pull in his gang or something. So I see him doing
6
burpees.
feet plus Chinese guys, man. What'd you
Yeah.
guys have over there, man?
So he's in the yard. I go over to him. I say, hey,
Can I get a meal?
no, well, I wanted to get in on his burpees.
Okay.
I wanted to see what he was doing. So he said, yeah, let's do burpees together. So we figured out the next day. So his whole it's always a partner thing. So like he does a burpee, goes down, gets up, waits. I go down, do my burpee. So it's literally like gives you like 3 to 5 seconds in between. And then so we do 100 with like double pump burpees. So that's basically when you go down, you do 2 push-ups and then come up. Instead
And when
of
you
just a
come up,
burpee.
did you just come up, or did you guys do the leg thing too, and
Oh,
all that fancy
Yeah, you kinda
dancing
like-
with the star type of burpee things? I didn't do it. It was
very
simple.
So we did the 100 that way. You do the variation. You stand up. You kind of flex your midsection. Yeah, we would do different variations. So, but man, his stamina was really good. I wasn't used to doing burpees, so we pounded out 300 burpees, but each 100 was a slight different variation. And so we do that, and then I was kind of like, when I got used to it, I would challenge him, and then we'd do bear crawls back and forth across the basketball court. And
It's a great exercise.
yeah,
Bear crawl.
yeah. So I got to know guys that way through workouts and fitness, body weight workouts. Good stuff.
But Big Mike. Now I know for me it was different because you like you were saying when you got in, you were already working out before you went in. I was total opposite.
And it worked out for both situations, because you could go in there and almost everyone I know does exercise to some degree, to some level.
You got to out of boredom, just pure boredom.
50-year-old guys, overweight guys, skinny guys, everyone works out somehow.
At least walk.
And Yoshi, my good guy Yoshi, we'll talk about at some point. Young Yosh was his name.
Young
He was
Yosh.
transferred in from a low, but
Is he a little badass too, or
yeah, and he's got scars and he's kind of got different things going on because of his things that he did on the outside. But he came in, showed me the ropes also. But reason I was bringing him up is because he would always say, "Time to get that money." So you're working out is your form of
your health?
basically you're working
Get
out
your wealth,
to get your
yeah.
money, get your health. Yeah. And that's what you can do while you're in there to be ready and to be fit and to be ready to tackle stuff when you get out. So it was all about getting your money,
Well,
which meant getting your exercise in.
You have to, especially when you don't have your freedom and you have all that time, and it's a lot of time, man. Only way to kill it is to either read and or work out.
Yeah. So, what's our currency? It's like whoever's the fittest, at least for the time you're in there. But then even after you come out, it's like, what can you do in that time that you're there to improve yourself out there? And like you said, it's either your physical or your mental, right? And spiritual and other things can be also considered part of that. But I always remember him in my mind saying, get that money. And that meant getting his exercise and his push-ups.
Yeah, because it was a lot different for me. I mean, I didn't even start, because I was there for about 15 months, give or take a week. I didn't even do any type of calisthenics or workout for probably the first 5-6 months. It was just all treadmill and
Yeah.
elliptical machines. I was like, until I get under 180 or around 175, I wasn't going to get into the calisthenics. I actually started doing it once I got below 200. But yeah, I had to get rid of that.
Yeah.
It's 222, man.
So
Big
honestly, I mean, if anyone's in that situation where they're headed towards going, I'd start now. Get in a routine, get comfortable with something, and it just makes it easier, and you can kind of pick up stuff and not feel like you're totally at the beginning of something.
Yeah, and so before we continue, the moral of the story so far is do what he did. Don't do what I did. I felt sorry for myself. I ate. I gained 30 plus pounds, 35 plus pounds before I went in.
Right before?
Yeah. Because I figured, hey, you know what? It's almost like, that last meal that a death row inmate's going to have. I'm like, well, I'm going to go in for a while. I might as well enjoy the foods and all that stuff. But, hindsight, I would have probably went your route.
Yeah, and I would notice down the road after, months and weeks are going by, like everyone's trying to get fit. That's kind of like whatever it is, kind of a form of currency. But like you see everyone and they're trying to get six packs. So if you see a dude that has six packs, like you start getting inmates coming up to you asking you what you're doing for workouts, what you're doing for nutrition.
Yeah, diet.
I'd always talk about diet with them. So like
for a six pack at least, that's it.
I'd have dudes coming up to me randomly like, "Hey, dude, what are you eating?" Like I do all these workouts, but I can't get a six pack and stuff like that. And then they'd see me, and then I remember one time it was kind of windy at Atwater, so we're working out in like t-shirts and sleeveless shirts and whatever, and like if you're faced the right way and the wind's pushing up against your abs, like you can see your six pack in the wind if you had a six pack. And there's a moment and one of the dudes was like,
ooh.
No, he's like,
oh, look at that 10-pack you got going on over there.
He's like, he just snickered at me. He's like, don't do that.
Oh, no,
don't
God,
do
don't, no. Nah.
Like
another moral of the story
like I was
is
showing
don't
off
flex
or
your
something.
10-pack.
Yeah.
Don't flex
So
the 10-pack.
He knew I'm like showing him my six pack, and he's like, don't do that, Sonny. I remember Luis.
Oh,
and
God.
he was
Not
the
Luis.
dude. He was the guy running the card game, and that's
okay.
another episode.
That's another story, man.
Yes, and good friend of mine, but like he had a ace, a diamond, a club, and a heart tattooed on the inside of his hand. Like he was a gambler. He was a big time gambler outside. But
so then, after you had your workout before prison, and you had your workouts in prison. When you got out now, because I see you have the Equinox, things change as soon as you got to like all these amenities and women running.
It's so
all
hard.
that stuff. Like, what do you? Is it different now in terms of your workout? Because you're still maintained.
Well, let me tell you about. So the other
like
half that I touched on was nutrition.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 to 4 hours every day working out. And then basically from 6 o'clock after chow until 10 o'clock is nutrition. So
did you eat clean? Because I know you said you worked
you had your chow meals, which we wouldn't eat, and then you go back to your barracks, and then that's where everyone makes the actual meals that they eat for dinner.
Oh, you didn't eat during chow?
Not really. No.
Oh, get out of here.
None of us did. So those meals that Mao was making for Big Mike, they were like Chinese dishes and stuff. They were making actual Chinese dishes, like, and this is, we'll talk about food again, but since I was working in the kitchen and I liked to cook kind of on my own, I was making a whole bunch of different foods.
But you made it. You said you worked in the kitchen, so you made it in the kitchen. How about the guys that didn't?
We didn't make it in the kitchen. We'd take all these supplies back, and then at nighttime after 6, then you're making your actual dish that you eat.
But they have the Korean barbecue grill from Amazon.
You had
How do they cook it?
Orange chicken. I was making stir fry. I was making like kimchi.
They use the 220 hot water or the one.
Oh, like we get access to the kitchen at times here and there, so we could use their deep fryer. We could use their griddle, stuff like that. So all depends, again, like on the COs that you get. The kitchen CO was cool. The camp CO, Garcia, no cool. So you could get caught by Garcia, or else, he'd put a charge on you or whatever.
Yeah, man, you get thrown into shoe time.
Dumb stuff. I mean, he raided my locker like 2 or 3 times while I was there.
Oh, he liked you. Huh? He liked you.
You just like had a power trip or just like to be in control. But we'd some of the stuff we ate, like when they had chicken thighs and chicken quarters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the thigh and the leg. So anytime there's extras, it gets divided between the staff in the kitchen that are working there. So you'd end up getting like maybe two, sometimes one to three extra quarter chicken pieces, and you'd take them back. I'd strip them down and I'd make chicken soup whenever we had that. So I just wanted to get as much protein as I could.
Right.
Without the carbs. And so I'd make this chicken soup with carrots and onions and cabbage, and I'd microwave it for like 5-6 minutes. You just boil it down really hard, and it's a darn good chicken soup.
Well, you almost need the carbs though if you're doing 1,000 push-ups, man.
You did. So
time.
Once a week when it's time to go to commissary, you'd eat like a tiny, I don't know if it's a pint or something, maybe it's smaller ice cream. Or you'd have like, Nutter Butter or Snickers.
Those are good.
Yeah. And so, on the weekend, my cheat meal every Sunday night, because this was nostalgic for me.
Yeah, gotta have the cheat meal.
I would eat the Korean soups. They call it soups inside, but it's ramen packs. But I'd elevate it. I'd add the chicken, or I'd add an egg if I had an egg. Make it all like fancy and special. I remember every Sunday I'd have a fancy bowl of ramen that I made.
I know a lot of guys where I was at in Morgantown, they would, even though they would get the ramen, they would just use they would give the noodle part away and just keep the packet so they have the broth. Mm-hmm. Make that broth. But
yeah.
So you never ate at the food sucks. Our food was
Rarely.
terrible. Oh man.
You'd maybe, if it was breakfast on Saturday, I would eat the eggs.
Mm-hmm.
The hash brown, the potatoes were too hard and too rubbery. I never ate any of the bread or the cereal. The cereal was like, it tasted like cardboard.
Wasn't there animosity sometimes? Guys would see you guys eating at the barracks or whatever, and then...
So that just happens in different cars. Like the Mexicans would make their burritos.
Okay.
The Asian guys would make, rice with something, orange chicken. When you had rich people come in, they would come in and they'd want to ask you to make stuff for them. And so they'd offer to give you stuff or commissary, whatever, if you could make them. So I remember this one rich guy came in and...
white collar asshole.
White collar. Total white collar. He loved sun tanning, so he was like those retired people you see in Florida, and they've got like the orange skin.
Yeah.
He would just lay in the sun
looking like Donald Trump
every day, and he had white hair. It was so weird, but he'd just do that. That was his form of like relaxing or whatever. So he hired me at one time and asked me to make stir fry with chicken and soy sauce. So I made a big, huge pot of it for him.
Now you would do that in the kitchen, but how did you get it from the kitchen? I'm trying to picture.
That's when your CO is cool with you or not. But
okay, not Garcia, so you can have him running around.
So, and the times that they would kind of give you access is for different holidays or events, like the Super Bowl. There's always pizzas being made in the kitchen for the Super Bowl, or Memorial Day or 4th of July. All those holidays, like the COs kind of would give us a little extra time in the kitchen. So we'd finish the regular chow meal, but then we'd have, 30 minutes or a half an hour or an hour.
Started botching away,
make your
man,
own food.
just cooking real fast.
Yeah. So then you had
at least
commercial
had
equipment.
You had kitchen amenities and things to use. I know at Morgantown, majority of us, even though I didn't cook much, I just watched the guys cook in actual dormitories we were at. They just used the
water.
220 on God's green earth. I never sat there and watched them. I don't know how they just used that.
Yeah. So because we were a Unicorp plant, which is like a recycling facility for all the government offices. So like you'd have microwaves come in there. You'd have all this kind of cooking stuff come in. So we had like 3 microwaves in our camp. which you could do a ton more with than just a boiling
Didn't even have
a
that.
boiling pot. Yeah. So we'd had that, and they would they had a way to boil oil. I mean, this is super dangerous, but they would boil oil in the microwave.
Arson?
No,
You
no, and then they'd
Boom.
make like tortillas. They would make what are those things at Disney World?
Churros?
Churros. They would
Oh, I love me churros. I want some churros right now, man.
they would make churros in the microwave with oil. They're like, I don't know how they did it, but
You had all that?
and one time this dude blew it up on fire.
Oh,
So
okay.
the whole thing's smoking.
Great.
He's like got this whole microwave that's got like oil in it. He's carrying it with two hands, walking outside of the barracks.
Oh, God. The CO probably
But it
just
stunk
lost
up
it.
the whole can.
Yeah. I guess there's no more microwave after that?
It wasn't that bad, but yeah, we kept our microwave. But he just,
We
he
couldn't
knew.
even use the iron.
We had an, well, they would use the iron to make grilled cheese.
Yeah, we would get in trouble. But then again, where I stayed at, it was a stricter, because we were in the RDAP, the Residential Drug Abuse Program unit, so it was very strict there. Other guys were able to, somehow they were able to cook in their places. They were able to use irons and stuff, but we couldn't do it.
Yeah. I saw that a couple times where they would grill cheese with the irons. That was kind of funny.
I tried it one time on the outside. I still couldn't do it, man. You know, so I need the stove. Any 10-packs come out all that diet? Or?
Yeah, I mean, because we're just, for me at least, I was just trying to pound as much protein and then doing the 2 to 4 hours every day. If you do that consistently,
It's all it is, man.
I mean, you realize when you come out how hard it is to be that consistent, but in there you can be consistent, like every day. And you would, by the time I left, I didn't weigh myself probably until later, but I was probably 160, maybe 159 at that point. So 159, basically no fat, probably 6 to 8% if that, and then just muscles.
Well, it's amazing. That's why I said Instagram body in the beginning. And he's like, oh, what are you talking about, man? No, but that's where another thing for you that are viewing this right now is that when you go on the inside, there's a level of discipline that you don't realize you actually have.
That's true.
But it's because of the external factors that we face outside, whether it's the women or the fast food or the alcohol that just kills
everything.
whatever potential you do have. When you get into prison, none of that's there. Like
no distractions.
There's no distractions. Yeah. And now you realize whether you're actually weak. I saw people like that in prison. I got to a point where I'm like, man, they got no distractions in here. And he's still a fat fuck.
I did notice as you're getting into this routine and this repetition of daily and then weekly and monthly, like I had visits, thankfully every week pretty much.
Oh man, it's nice.
I had a visitor every week, but I almost noticed like a couple times when they didn't come, it almost made it go faster a little bit. Because you didn't have that, whatever you call it,
the
outside thing coming in to ruin the routine. And so
or to remind you.
It kind of reminds you of the time where you're looking to this date or whatever. But if you didn't have it, like that week would go by faster because it bleeds into the next one and you don't even realize it's 2 weeks. So that's not that you don't want visitors, but sometimes it makes it go faster.
Now, while you're doing the workout, did you eat breakfast too? Were you 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and then dinner?
Probably no breakfast really.
Oh, see, I was the exact opposite. Yeah. I rarely ate dinner.
Oh, no.
No, I had breakfast. I had breakfast, and then I had lunch. And while everyone else was eating dinner, Sam, our other host, he would always say, hey, come to dinner. And I just never went. I'd eat peanut butter, but I had jars of that in my...
No, I always had a dinner, and then I always had another something of protein at like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I basically eating 2 dinners.
Peanut butter.
No breakfast, no lunch. Yeah. And I did a lot of peanut butter too. That was kind of my snack.
Oh, I loved it.
Because it was carbs and protein, but...
I loved it so much, I spent 5 extra months. Which, viewers, if you didn't see that episode, I believe it's episode 1, I talk about my world of peanut butter and how it extended my time. And
do you still eat peanut butter now?
yeah, I love peanut butter, man. Some things aren't going to change. I'm going to keep eating peanut butter. Although I have triggers now, because every time I see peanut butter, I'm thinking, man, all that time I lost, but...
And here's a quick blurb, but like before I went in, I remember I was looking for consultants. I was looking for any help or documents or books that I could find about what it was like and how to prepare myself and all of that. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of heisters out there, or what do you call them? I mean, they will try to offer to give you information and have you pay, but I recommend not paying for them. And anything that they might tell you, like you'll probably hear on our podcast.
Yeah.
And,
you don't need to pay for any of that.
No.
Not that you can't find on YouTube or information that we're given.
So I paid probably like $1,000 or $1,500, and it was exactly the same information that you're hearing from us right now.
I know the guy that I paid money to in terms of consulting, not necessarily for what I'd be doing on the inside, but how to shorten my time. Mm-hmm. He's in prison.
Exactly.
Now.
Yeah. So that's one thing you can do. Save yourself $1,000, $3,000, some of these guys, and just look for it or listen to our YouTube, our podcast.
Now, how did you before we end the segment, because we've been friends now for 5 years. Mm-hmm. You were able to maintain, like I gained at least, since I got out, let's say average, gained at least 20 pounds of it back. Mm. I like to be around 178 at 180, 188 now. I mean, you still got your 10-pack.
No, definitely not, and it's catching up to me. It's creeping up on me. But
your discipline level the last 5 years.
Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say on that note is that the guys that go in out of shape, they will get in shape, but when they come out, most of those guys will revert back to what they were before they went in. Yeah. So that's why I kind of encourage people to get some routine and get in shape before you go in, because after you come out, then you'll have something to fall back on and a routine that you can fall back on. Right. Because the pressures, the times, all those things weighing on you outside that are not there when you're inside are all coming back. And so if you can't figure that out and have that routine while you're out here, right, you won't be able to do it once you get out, because the world's a difference between being inside with no pressures and no distractions, and once you get out and try to get your life back on track and stuff like that. So that, for me, I had that routine, went in, kind of got better at it, and then came out and wasn't doing the same thing that I was doing inside, but at least I still was working out, 4 or 5 days a week. So that's what I fell back on when I came out. Yeah.
And that is the final mic drop from Sonny on how to stay consistent when you do get out. But the moral of today's whole story is when you're going in, you're depressed. You want to make sure that you still keep your health, even though you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose time, freedom, and everything. When you do go into prison, you still got your health, which is your wealth.
That's your currency.
That's your currency.
Get your money.
Going in.
Get that money.
And stay consistent. And that discipline, you'll realize that you have a discipline that you hadn't had when you're out in the free world. So take advantage of it. But again, Sonny, thank you for co-hosting this segment with me. And all the viewers, thank you again for watching Criminal Code. Remember, you ain't indicted.
You ain't invited.
Peace out. Thank you very much. Have a great day.